Welcome to Not Another White Box. My name is Cameron and this is the channel that brings you all that's cool, quirky and unusual in the caravan world. Today we are back at the NEC Caravan and Motorhome Show in October 2022 to take a full look at all the exciting things that are on offer at this show in particular. This video is going to be a little bit different from the last one because we're going to catch up with some people who work behind the scenes in the industry along the way. So stay tuned folks, because it's going to be quite an interesting tour. But this show is twice the size of what it was in February, so I suppose we better get going. Without further ado, let's go get inside the show and see what's on offer first. Here on this giant turnstile, which is very reminiscent of some of the slightly dodgier ABBA videos, you'll find the brand new Swift Basecamp 2 with the new exclusive graphics for 2023. There's so much to look at and Swift have gone big on this stand and I can't wait to show you the ins and outs. But of course the model that we're really interested in seeing today is the all new Basecamp 3, which I think is over there somewhere. So if we make the turntable stop, I'm going to hop off and show you it. I'm starting my tour today at the incredible display of Swift Basecamps, which is like nothing I've ever seen before. But we're starting with the new Basecamp 3, which to me, although I'm being a little bit biased here, is probably the most exciting thing for me at the Caravan show. It's an all new model for 2023, complete with a total exterior sort of, not redesign, but they've changed all the graphics and changed a lot of the details about the Caravan bodywork, which just lifts the Basecamp to feeling a little bit more modern and contemporary than it previously did. Some of the smaller details that you might not immediately notice are these new plastic panels that just sort of add a bit of style interest but don't have any other practical purpose. The big news is the change of colour scheme from orange to this lovely sort of tealy turquoise blue colour, which I know has upset a lot of the Basecamp owners because they love the Basecamp orange and so do I. But actually in person this colour is really nice. It's also got these lovely new diamond cut alloys which are exclusive to the Basecamp range, which again just look rugged and they look kind of sporty and just add to that aesthetic that the Basecamp has. Outside it looks exactly the same as the Basecamp 4, but you will notice the only difference is the change of graphics to the Basecamp 3. Inside is where you're really going to notice all the differences, because although the layout is basically the same, they've changed two crucial sleeping arrangements which just alter the entire dynamic of the Caravan. The cost of it is £25,495 and it sleeps 3 people, and let's take a closer look at the interior. I can't wait to show you. It's the first time I've seen it in person. We've read so much about it online, and this is the very first demonstrator model that Swift have produced. It was not produced in time for the Dusseldorf Caravan show. It's not been produced in time to send any stock out to retailers. So this is the first one. Let's take a look together. Stepping into the Basecamp 3, the first thing I notice as someone who knows the Swift Basecamp 4 quite well is that that 4th bunk is missing in the rear dinette. Now, when the Basecamp was first launched, they started a owners club on Facebook, which they've been kind enough to let me loiter on, and they're actually a really fun group of people. But my point is, when the 4 was first launched, a lot of people were buying it to use it as a 2-berth, leaving the bed up at the front and taking that 4th bunk out just to make a little bit more space in this rear area. And that's the first thing that I notice when I step in. Now, new for this year, for 2023, is the new blue graphics, which we've already seen on the outside, but that theme continues onto the inside with a few little orange touches, which are so synonymous now with the Swift Basecamp. We still have these handy little lockers, which are an unusual little design feature, and at first I thought they seem a little bit flimsy and a bit rubbish, but how many of us who don't have the fortune of storing our caravan at home end up loading up bags to go and transfer things from home and into the caravan? And what Swift have done here is they've just cut out the middleman, because you can simply lift these out and carry them home. You can fill them up with stuff, they're very generously sized, and then they slide into these shelves like so. And you don't even have to reach over the top because the fronts of them zip down like a conventional cupboard. so you can easily access your stuff. So it seemed like a little bit of a naff idea to me at first, but having sort of seen it and lived with it for a bit, it's actually a pretty good design feature. But what makes the Basecamp 3 so special is the fixed bed at the front. This is a brand new feature for 2023 and is exclusive to the Basecamp 3 model only. Now, it's the first time that I've seen this today, and I'm sort of quite excited to look through all the detail changes with you. So Swift haven't actually given out any details about how this bed works, but it's not all as it seems, because in true versatile Swift Basecamp style, this bed isn't fixed, it folds away. So we have the familiar framework underneath the bed that we have seen so many times on all of the Basecamp models, and this bit here simply folds back like so, and then we can flip the mattress at the back and lift it all the way up and fold these legs, and you'll find here we've got tethering points in the floor for tying up your mountain bikes or sporting equipment, which is what the Basecamp is so famous for. But also, a little detail that I quite like about this bed is that it gives you a bit of flexibility with the layout. If it was me, I would flip the mattress over like so and have a little bit of a day couch, which completely changes the vibe of the Basecamp inside. You can still have your TV up here, where you'll find various TV connection points for the aerial, which is on the roof, 12 volt and mains, but this little sofa at the front of the Caravan completely changes the feeling in here. It's really, really great, and I would kind of encourage Basecamp owners to sort of think about using it in this manner, because my criticism of the Basecamp 4 was always that, unlike the 2 or the 6, there was nowhere where you could sit down and sort of stretch out or relax in the evening. And suddenly, with this sort of setup done in this way, you've got a cozy little area where you can sit and enjoy camping in the Basecamp 3. Finally, we've reached the washroom, which showcases the new wall finish, which is kind of this fake grey slate, but also a marble effect on the other wall. It looks very fresh and contemporary and makes this space much more exciting than the previous all-white plastic room. But that's all we're going to take a look at the Basecamp 3 on the Basecamp range in this particular video, because I've produced its own dedicated video that you can find elsewhere on the channel. I popped a link in the description below, and it should also pop up over the top of this video. So if you want to know more about this model, do check out that very in-depth tour and review of all the new features of the brand new Swift Basecamp 3. Just across the hall from the Swift Basecamps, you'll find the Adria stand, and the thing that we're interested in today is this, the Adria Action. This model is the 361 LT, which is the main Action model that is being imported into Britain. Now, there's not many changes for 2023 to this model, other than a few little tweaks here and there, and we did take a very quick look at it at the last show tour that I did in February. But I thought we'd take a closer look, because this remains a very popular model, and you can certainly see why. From the outside, it's cool and it still looks fresh and vibrant, even though unbelievably 2023 will be the 19th year of production for the Adria Action, and the fundamental shape and style of it hasn't really changed since it was introduced in 2004. Immediately inside the Adria Action, you're guided in by the shape of the kitchen, which kind of just follows round as you head in, which is really sort of an unusual feeling inside. There's no changes to this for 2023, but we have a stainless steel sink and a 2-burner hob. You will also find this concealed, or so-called concealed cupboard, which stretches right back into the rear curve of the Adria Action. In the rear corner of the Adria Action, you'll find the washroom, which again is a contemporary stylish space. We have this ABS plastic kind of binnacle that hides the plumbing, which again doesn't really serve any purpose other than to give it a bit of style and flair. You might be wondering where the sink is, but we have a tip-up sink, which viewers of my channel may remember something of a certain avocado shade that was very popular in the 70s. So to see a tip-up sink on a modern Caravan is a bit weird for me, to be honest, but it actually feels very sturdy. It has some kind of counterweight on it, so it slots neatly back into place, and it has this lovely mirrored finish. You'll probably notice the slight drawback of the Adria Action, that there isn't really a proper wardrobe. Up here at very useful sort of shoulder height is the Dometic 3-way fridge, and below it we have this cupboard, which is your wardrobe space. Now you have a little bit of choice here because there is a hanging rail and you can remove these shelves in order to use it as a wardrobe. But a lot of people actually like the shelf design. They like to fold their clothes up like you would if you're going on holiday and packing them in a suitcase. So to me, I don't really mind this compromise. The fridge up here works quite well. Opposite, you will find a traditional Truma Ultra Heat space heater. Now, we're seeing a lot of Caravans move away from this idea now to free up the space. And I actually think Adria could take heat there and use one of the underfloor heating systems. So you could have a proper wardrobe here and put the fridge here over the axle. But it is what it is, and above the heater we find these two drawers, which just add to the rather impressive amount of storage in this tiny tourer. Above that we'll find a place where you can mount your TV on a moving fitted bracket, and behind that you'll find these shelves which actually go all the way through. I'm not too sure what you would put there, maybe a place to put your hats and scarves, etc. But it's a little bit of useful design, and I guess ultimately when you move into the Caravan you decide where everything goes. The cupboards are all spring assisted as they open. They have little gas struts on them, which again is quite unusual, but they actually feel really sturdy. It's a solid piece of laminate like you would typically get in a worktop in a house, and it just feels quite substantial. But at the front end is where the Action really excels. It has this really cozy U-shaped seating area, which is huge. It must be 6 foot long by the width of the van, and it makes a bed which fills up this entire space. So you could use it as 2 single beds or make it up as a huge double. This kind of split panoramic window thing, people have sort of criticised it for not being big enough, but I actually argue that it makes the space feel really cozy. And this little window here offers you a nice little private lookout on the scenery, whereas this window lets the light flood in. It's a really pleasant place to be in here, really, and at £23,600 it is one of the cheaper options for a 2-berth of this size, and I have to say I'm extremely impressed by both the quality and the design of this Adria Action. A quick stop on the Caravan and Motorhome Club stand, and I am drawn immediately to this amazing cake that has been baked by Karen Wright from Bake Off. Apparently she's quite the fan of caravanning and camping, so she's made this cake especially for the Caravan Club, but I'm told I'm not allowed to eat it, so we're going to have to go find something else to do. But it looks and smells incredible. Sticking with the Caravan and Motorhome Club stand, I'm here on the main stage, finally achieving my dream of treading the boards. But no one's come to see me. It's probably because they don't want to hear me sing. There's plenty of celebrities and important people kicking around on the Caravan and Motorhome Club stand all week. So we're stopping to take a moment to have a chat with the Director General of the Caravan and Motorhome Club. This is Nick Lomas. It's nice to see you.
Very nice to see you too.
And I just want to ask you a few questions really about the Caravan and Motorhome Club. I know we've just been talking about my grandparents reaching their 50th anniversary as members. So how would you say the club's changed over the years?
Oh, in the last 50 years, since the 1970s, you see lots more motorhomes on club sites. You would also see obviously a huge increase in the amount of facilities we offer in terms of showers and electric hookups and service pitches. Hard standings were relatively rare things that in those days, whereas now they're what every tourer really looks for. So they're really important to provide. And the other thing I think is obviously nowadays the environment's much more important. So all our latest facility blocks have solar panels, they have water preheating, they have much more efficient air handling systems to to make sure the buildings stay warm but take all the moisture out. So I think technology has come an awful long way, and that goes for the vehicles as well, of course. A lot of things are now more about technology and trying to make things much easier. So we have our new booking system which allows people to prepay the night before, so that when they arrive on site they don't have to queue to get onto their pitch, and they can start their holiday quicker. We're doing some trials in one of our sites in Scotland at Clachan, where we're trying number plate recognition. So if you've prepaid and booked, you can drive onto the site straight away, just to get on your holiday much more smoothly. So I think in the future it will be very much more about technology. I also think there are some things changing in another direction. We all know about the costs of energy and trying to do that sustainably. So we know more members are using solar panels and inverters to power their units, and I think you'll see in the future more changes around that as well. Not to mention, of course, electric vehicles. We're going to have lots more electric vehicles on site. So we're now starting to put charging points on our site. I was at our newly redeveloped site at Clumber Park in Nottinghamshire, and the charging points there are just about to be commissioned. So yeah, there's changes all the time. It's really important to continue to change and evolve the club and improve it for the future.
Yeah, it feels pretty exciting that we've had a couple of years off due to COVID, and things like this haven't happened, and not really much has changed. Then all of a sudden it's got back going again, and we're sort of looking to the future. But have you had a chance to look around the show yet much?
I haven't, and I bought a new vehicle just before the sort of pandemic and everything, so I'm still very happy with my camper van. So I'm not in the market to look, but I do know we've got our awards here, and the judges have already been telling me that the range of new vehicles and lightweight trailers particularly they've seen are really interesting, because there's been a lot of innovation coming out of what's happened over the last few years. So I think you're right, Cameron, there is a lot more change happening, which is good to see.
If, like me, you are a real lover of leisure vehicle design, you have to check out this new concept from Hymer called the Venture S over on the Hymer stand at the back of Hall 19. It's an incredible concept that was first unveiled at the Dusseldorf Caravan Salon a few years ago, and this is the very first time that it's been shown in Britain. But don't just take my word for it, let's take a closer look at what makes this so incredible. Oh wow, this is absolutely stunning in here. All the finishes, all the different textures, it's like nothing else that I've really seen at the Caravan show yet. This to me has been something that I've been so excited to see for such a long time, because it forms a huge chunk of inspiration for a vintage caravan project that I'm working on, but more of that later next year. Looking around it, it's just incredible. It's so contemporary, it's so fresh. The way that they've blended textures such as the wood and the recycled fibres, and even the kind of the grey walls, which I kind of assumed were always felt, but they're not. They're some kind of composite recycled material. It's such a clever design, and I think you've already spotted this huge sun deck at the back, which is totally unique in a motorhome product. But something which I know they're hiding in the bathroom, I'm going to show you very quickly, is you may have noticed there's actually quite a lot of space in here for a motorhome. That's because this entire bathroom wall pulls out. What an incredible piece of design. It opens right up to allow a lot more space in here to shower. The whole shower partition moves over. I know this motorhome is very expensive, but I am obsessed with the level of finish in here. From this fake grey slate material to the wood used in the shower, it's absolutely incredible. It can't have escaped your notice the huge pop-top roof on this, but also the staircase that immediately attracts your eye as you walk through the door. Hymer aren't silly though, they've reused this space as much as possible, and it is full of clever storage solutions for extra space to keep all your camping goods. Imagine being in a motorhome where you can climb the stairs to bed. This is amazing. Up here in the rafters is this huge double bed which occupies the entire roof space, and this strange siding to the pop-top roof is actually inflatable. It's an air top. It's a new design that's been used by Hymer and Bürstner so far. The advantage is that it's incredibly strong, it's durable, it's light, but also it crucially has that air gap in it which allows it to be heated to make this space warm and cozy. What an incredible piece of design. Sticking with the Hymer stand, they have another incredible concept, but this time it's something that you can actually buy, albeit at a price. This is the Eriba Touring 820, which really is a numbers game, this caravan. Some quick ones for you. It's 2.5 tons. It's 8.2 meters long, and that's the body length, so it is slightly too long to legally tow in Britain unless you're towing it with a vehicle over 3.5 tons. And finally, there's the price. It is just £500 short of £80,000. But as you can see from the model behind me, it's huge. It looks like an Eriba, it feels like an Eriba, but it doesn't have the infamous Eriba pop top because it is a full-bodied tourer. I think it's time we take a closer look. Let's go see what it's like on the inside. This almost feels like a special occasion, like I'm boarding some kind of aeroplane or something. This caravan is huge. But stepping inside, the interior is just as impressive as the outside. Starting at the front, you've got this enormous lounge, which I cannot stress how big this caravan is inside. It's got the wraparound windows, which are completely exclusive to this model, which have blinds built in and also conceal the Alde heating system. We've got huge airline style lockers up above, but they've also been conscious to not fill the space with imposing overhead lockers, which I hate about British caravan design. Everywhere you look, there is a locker. Yet here they've just given the space a little bit of room to breathe, and it just makes this caravan feel so much bigger inside. We've got a large skylight here, which you'll find on most Hymer motorhomes, which actually opens with a winding handle. How's that for over-the-top engineering? In the middle section, you'll find the kitchen, which is probably the most extremely contemporary kitchen you will ever find in a caravan. It's got these brushed aluminium effect worktops, which curve up to these concealed storage areas here. Again, you've got the huge overhead lockers, which just feels so substantial. It's got this fantastic porthole window, but a 2-burner hob. Crucially, it's missing an oven, which might be a problem for some people in Britain especially. But instead of that, we've got these rather generous deep set drawers and also a really tall Thetford fridge, which is bigger than my fridge at home, to be honest. It's enormous. I have to be honest, from a design point of view, this curved bit here isn't quite the most practical design, but I'm willing to accept that for just how impressive it looks. Quickly moving on to the back, because there is a huge queue forming to look at this impressive caravan. We have what has to be the biggest bedroom I've ever seen in a caravan. It is enormous. It takes up the whole rear third of the caravan. You've got what kind of looks like 2 single beds, but there is an infill here to make it an enormous double. Again, we've got the fantastic wraparound windows, which I'm not sure, if you value your privacy in the bedroom, is the best thing that you can expect to find. But it's fun, it's a nice little detail, and again, it feels like nothing else here at the show. From the bedroom, you can control the heating system, you control the lighting, there is electric points, somewhere to put the TV, and even a dividing curtain. Above, we have another large skylight with the winding roof, and again, I can't get over how big this space is. It is huge. If this is the kind of thing that you want for a bit of style, for an escapism, or perhaps on a seasonal pitch where you don't have to worry about towing such a big caravan, this is absolutely ideal. And just quickly before we leave, we'll take a quick peek at the bathroom. I'll fold the door back like so. You'll find a separate shower, sort of, with this duckboard and the level floor, which is quite unusual. And a bench style toilet and a nice designed sink. Again, everything is just such good quality. It feels really substantial. And I have to say, it all goes together to kind of justify the price of £79,500. This caravan is impressive with every stat, every design feature, everything that you will see about this caravan is just as impressive as the next bit. And I urge you to take a look if you're heading to the show. The news for 2023 is the new Eriba Touring 560, which is behind me. But before we take a look inside, I just want to show you the amazingly cool new rear panel of them. They've got these American car style round lights and this full width grab bar to maneuver the caravan with. Again, it's just such simple little design changes, including the very Americanized touring badges that just continue to make the Eriba models just one of the coolest caravans you can buy today. But the news for 2023 is this one. It is the Touring 560, and this particular one is the urban spec, which is really just a trim level. But what's new about it is it has fixed bunk beds at the front, which is not a completely new idea from Eriba, but it's the first time it's been launched in a model specifically. Immediately stepping inside the Eriba, you will see the fixed beds at the front in all their glory. Despite the pointed front, they've kind of made the design work, and another thing that I absolutely love is this detachable 12-volt light, which is definitely an idea that I would love to incorporate into a vintage caravan. That's so cool, but also very German at the same time, which is where the Eriba was designed and built. This top bunk, I'm told, folds back, so you can use it as a little bit of a daybed sofa. But right next to the bed is this very generously sized Dometic fridge, which is absolutely ideal for a family of 4. It's something that's usually on the small side in a 4-berth caravan, so it's nice to see that Eriba have thought about it to make it more practical for the end user. Headroom is quite generous thanks to the pop top, which obviously lowers for towing to make it easier to tow and easier to store. The kitchen has had a little bit of a makeover with this rather jazzy new worktop, which has a great quality feel to it. They've got these little touches such as this storage pouch and the removable sink cover, and even things like the black tap are just a bit of a departure from the norm. It's a really classy looking caravan inside. In the middle you'll find the bathroom pod, which in true Eriba fashion has the little pop top that goes up into the roof. Again, it's very classy, very well designed, and a little bit of a departure from the norm that we see in British caravans. Finally, at the rear end, we have this area which converts into a fairly generously sized double bed. I would say it's probably about 5 foot wide, this bed. The soft furnishings are some of the best I have seen at the show in terms of quality, feel, support. They've got a really nice combination of feeling firm but comfortable at the same time, which is ideal. Around the top, you'll notice that the roof doesn't extend all the way here, which actually makes this rear lounge feel very cozy and almost like some kind of little den. I absolutely love it. In the corners again, we've got these detachable lights which are on magnets and you can take them outside. I'm really impressed by these. I think they're really cool. You can adjust them into any direction that you want, and then obviously you can take them off if you want to use it as a torch. Genius. I think it's really great to see these little bits of design just creeping in. These are something that's come from the motorhome world, I feel, because the motorhome world seems to get a lot more investment because of the higher profit margins involved. So it's nice that Hymer are taking some of the things that they've learned with their recent concepts, such as the Hymer Venture S motorhome, and we're now seeing it trickle down into their caravan design. So it's amazing who you bump into at the caravan show. This is Oliver Cox from Caravanning With The Coxs, and it's no surprise that you're here at the show, to be honest. Have you been filming today?
I have, yes, plenty done, and plenty come to the channel soon as well.
It seems quite fitting that we bumped into each other on the Bailey stand, because you've got the Discovery, haven't you?
Yes, Discovery D42, had it a year now, done over 100 nights in it as well, so plenty of use out of it, and yeah, it's a fantastic caravan.
You've had a look around the show, obviously. What have you seen that you like the look of?
There's some caravans that Marcos have brought out, some imported caravans that look really good. There's a couple from Knaus that look really good. And there's also the Alicanto Avoro on the Bailey stand as well, which is a really great caravan with the island bed in the middle.
I've just seen that the last few weeks at work, and I've got to be honest, you know me, if it's a white box, I don't want to know. But when that rolled in, I was like, oh, that looks posh.
It's nice. It's looks like a hotel room. I think that's what someone said, which I think is quite fitting.
Yeah. So you've obviously been doing some filming for the show. What's sort of on your radar when you're looking around and filming content? What sort of caravans do you like to look at?
Usually go for the small and the quirky ones, to be honest, something that's a bit different to the norm. Most people just choose a normal motorhome like this one was stood behind, but try and go for stuff that's a bit different. The dealer specials are always quite a good option as well, because you get more for your money as well. So yeah, just go for stuff on the smaller stands and see what we can find, really.
Excellent. And I suppose, I feel even daft asking this, are you staying in the Bailey this weekend?
Yes, I am staying in my Bailey all week, yes.
Is it your new residence now?
Pretty much, yes.
Great. Oh, can't believe how busy this show is. We seem to have found a little bit of a quiet spot here, but it's so busy. Yet again, the show has sold out this time. It's easy to see why. There's so much to look at and so much to do that really one day is not quite enough. Over in Hall 12 you'll find the Freedom Caravan stand, and these are kind of the evergreen caravan, if you like. The design has remained sort of unchanged for a very long time, but it doesn't mean that it's not a great design, because this particular model here, this Microlite Sport, has actually won Best in Class for the Pop Tops in the Caravan and Motorhome Club Lightweight Leisure Awards. What makes it so special, I wonder? Let's take a little look inside and see. Here inside this tiny tourer, you will see that there's actually space for 3 people to sleep. There is a double bed at the front and a single bed at the back. Have to be honest, this is coming from someone who caravans in a Sprite 400 that's only 10 foot long. It is a very cosy space in here. But it's got tasteful upholstery, it's got tasteful furniture, and it's a guaranteed design winner because of the all fiberglass shell that encompasses the outside. These caravans have been around since the 1960s, and the fundamental shape of the exterior remains pretty much the same. Testament to its good design is just how long the Freedom Caravans have been around, and they've been in Britain now for over 30 years. So it's quite impressive that with a fundamentally unchanged design, they still are scooping up design awards from the Caravan and Motorhome Club. If a pop top's not your thing, then you can try the full-bodied Freedom Jetstream Twin Sport, which is a full-size conventional 2-berth. We'll take a little bit of a look inside. Instantly, the space in here feels a lot bigger, and although it's still a very small compact caravan, straight away it's got a huge 6-foot seating area that will easily convert into a double bed. And there's plenty of room here to stretch out and enjoy the space. It feels like a very cozy caravan. It's got the headlining, which is just synonymous with the Freedom brand, and that's because it's got the entire GRP outer body shell, which is kind of constructed in a monocoque design. And the way that they insulate it is to add in this padding that covers all the inside walls. The upshot is it's a very durable design, and like I said, it's been around for a very long time with fairly minimal changes other than styling upgrades. So testament to Freedom's design there, that it's been around for so long. At the front here you've got a double bed, or you can use it for 2 singles. At the back end you've got a kitchen, which even houses a combination grill and oven. The spec's pretty good on this for the price, and at £18,000 it's one of the cheaper 2-berths here at the Caravan show that you can still conventionally use without having to pop the top or assemble it in some form. It even squeezes in a tiny washroom at the back, which even boasts a shower tray, a fold-up sink, a vanity mirror and a fitted toilet. Perhaps one of the most interesting things here on the Freedom stand is this, the Freedom Carpento, or as I would say in Leeds, the Carpenter. This is a new design that has come in from the continent, and it's badged as a Freedom in Britain, and they had the first run of these at the February show earlier this year. It's an entirely new design, and it has this rather neat swooping window design at the front, and it's kind of similar to the rest of the Freedom range in that it's a bit unconventional, quite cool and quite unusual. We had a quick look at them in February, so let's take a look inside this one to see if anything has changed. Wow, this is kind of a really strange space in here. It might be hard to see on camera, but the headroom at the front is very, very minimal. When we looked around at the February show, we took a look at the 4-berth, and I thought it was a little bit cramped and strangely a little bit out of proportion. Actually, this model makes more sense as a 2-berth. The kitchen is at a better working height, there seems to be more space in here, and this front end lounge is a little bit bigger. You'll love the huge swooping windows. Although they don't open, they certainly allow tons of light into the caravan. Up here we've got an opening skylight, and the rear window opens too, so there is still plenty of natural ventilation in here. The finish of the wood I don't think it feels too great, but I guess they're aiming to keep it lightweight and try and keep the costs down. But there's plenty of things in here that suggest it might retail for a higher price than the £18,900 that it's reported to retail for 2023. We've got plenty of ambient lighting, which we're seeing this more and more in caravans now. It was typically something that was reserved only for the really expensive caravans. Yet these lightweight tourers are really bringing the lighting game up this year, which is something that I really like to see. Aside from the ambient lighting around the cabinetry, there's lighting underneath the cupboards, and there are various spotlights throughout the caravan. This area here converts into a double bed, which isn't quite long enough to sleep down the length of the caravan, so you'd have to sleep across the width. And bear in mind that the body shell of the caravan tapers in slightly towards the front, so it's not quite a square double bed all the way from one side to the other. This table cleverly folds down to form the base, which is an idea that we love to see, harking back to caravans from the era that I love in the 60s and 70s. But aside from the front end here, you'll find that there is a fridge fitted, although I will point out that this is a mains only fridge. Now, like we said, this caravan was made on the continent, and their fittings differ from what we typically use in Britain. I've got to say, I'm not happy about seeing this, because really for most people you want the ability to run the caravan off grid, and with this electric only fridge it doesn't give you that flexibility. Moving back towards the bathroom here, you'll find it's a fully fitted room with a complete fiberglass GRP lining. It's a more than adequate space for the shower and includes a fitted toilet and this nice stainless steel sink. But having stepped inside it, there's not too much space to comfortably shower here. I would suggest it's a room that you would kind of make do with if you're staying off grid, which again, because of the fridge that only runs off the mains electric, you probably won't be doing that with this caravan. Back here at the kitchen, this is a much better height than the 4-berth model that we saw earlier in the year. It's a sensible working height with this combination sink and grill unit, which is a pretty standard fitting across caravans at this price point. I have to be honest, as I'm stood working in it, I don't particularly like how imposing these cupboards are. I feel like if I'm bending down to wash up, I'm at risk of headbutting these units, and to be honest, I just think there's a few things here that could certainly be tweaked to improve it further. Here at the NEC this year, you'll find the Inspiration Theatre. Behind me is a chap that you might be familiar with if you've watched my channel before. My friend Andrew is giving a little lecture about how he uses his electric vehicle to tow a caravan. It's just one of the many things that you can see at the NEC this week. Do check it out if you're here.
How far can we go?
Nestled away in the middle of Hall 12 is the micro caravan known as the GoPod. Now, these have been around again for quite some years. Initially came to Britain in the mid-2000s called the Going Cockpit. And the design has been kept going, if you pardon the pun, and they've evolved it into this new design that we see here. But the basic shape remains the same. Now, these caravans seem like something of an oddity, but I have to confess, as someone who drives up and down the country quite a lot, I see loads of these out and about. For this tiny, unusual little caravan, it boasts things such as a motor mover, dual fuel heating, full oven and grill, alloy wheels, and it even comes supplied with a front towing cover. It's a great quality product, and at the last show tour that we did, we glossed over it pretty quickly because they had a few on the stand. Today we're going to take a little bit more of an in-depth look. So let's see what makes this caravan so special. One of the things that hits me when I walk in here is how anglicised the GoPod has become over the years. Initially it was seen as a little bit of a gimmicky design that had a little bit of a, what could you say, a sparse interior that really fitted the aesthetic of something as bonkers as this. But what they've done here is they've toned it down a bit. They've made it a little bit more traditional with the colour schemes, the upholstery, the wood finish inside. And actually what we have here is something that's really cosy and feels actually like a nice place to be. And that's not to say that the old models weren't necessarily, but I like what they've done to evolve the brand and keep the design feeling fresh and current. At the front here you'll have a double bed, which you can lower this table to make, and again it's kind of shaped a bit to the front of the caravan, so you don't get a completely square bed. It's officially a 2-berth. 2 people in here might be a little bit of a squeeze, I'm not sure. But it's got a generously sized kitchen, this extra worktop here where you can put your television, and even a small wardrobe at the back. It actually crams quite a lot in here, and it tips the scales fully loaded at 750 kilograms, so pretty much any car can tow it. I think one of the main reasons that they've found popularity now is that they are the ideal pairing if you have an electric car for retaining as much of the range as possible, and that's due to the low weight and also the drag coefficient of the Caravan. The little bit at the back pops up to give you enough headroom to cook, but to be honest, when you stood up here, the kitchen is at a fairly sensible working height, and as you can see, I got plenty of headroom up here to work comfortably. So, Simon Howard, you are in charge at Bailey, pretty much. Is that fair to say?
That's very generous of you to say so. Marketing director is
Marketing director is the official title.
Indeed.
So I've caught up with you on the Bailey stand today, and I understand that interests me. It's your 75th anniversary next year.
It will be, yes. That makes us the longest established UK caravan manufacturer. Started in 1948 by Martin Bailey. Built his first caravan in his garage and sold it at Ashton Gate Market, which is now home to the Bristol City Football Club.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so just down the road from where we are now in South Liberty Lane. So yeah, we're very proud to reach 75 years, and look forward to celebrating it next year.
So do you have anything special planned, or is it a bit secret for the time being?
We've got plenty planned, but it's all a bit secret squirrel at the moment. But we're one of the things we're looking at is maybe sourcing a vintage Bailey caravan and trying to renovate it, so to show people what the very earliest vehicles were like and how they compare with the vehicles they see on the stand here today.
That sounds very up my street indeed. I've had a couple of vintage Baileys, and I think what interests me is that the design has changed so much. Certainly, you know, it remained the same for so long, and then all of a sudden, since you did the Alutech, it's like the next level forward for caravan design, isn't it?
Alutech was a big change for us. It really was sort of a move away from the traditional method of assembling the caravans, which effectively was assembling a box of panels, then cloaking it with plastic panels. With the Alutech, what we're doing is we have a skeleton, an interlocking framework, whereby we clamp the panels together, and we found that gives us better results in terms of strength, rigidity, and because we've got fully laminated panels, we're also better insulated, so it allows people to use the caravans throughout the year.
Excellent. So obviously it's the October show. There wasn't too much new product for the February show. What is the product that you're most excited about for this show?
For this show particularly, we've kept it quite simple. We're in a position really where our supply chain is still pretty fragile. Things are improving and production volumes are starting to increase. Supply is getting better, but we didn't want to impose too much change on this show. So fundamentally we've kept the ranges the same as they are for now, but we've added additional models. On the caravan side, we've got the fabulous new Alicante Grande Evora, which is a twin axle transverse island bed layout. Very popular with the public, done very well with the awards. We've got awards from Practical Caravan, Caravan Motorhome and Caravan Motorhome Club today for that, so that's gone down very well. And then on the motorhome side, we've got two new models for our Adamo range, the 60-4, which is a compact 4-berth drop-down bed layout with an end washroom, and then the 754T, which is a slightly longer version but has twin fixed beds over a rear garage. They're the three new models on the stand. Otherwise, we're very much focusing on our existing portfolio.
Excellent. I have to be honest, you know I'm from Not Another White Box, and typically I'm not that attracted to conventional caravans. When I saw the Alicante Grande, I was like, wow, that looks posh.
Our design team were really pleased to know that they've managed to convince you that white boxes can, not all the same and not always ugly.
Excellent. Well, it's great to catch up with you, and enjoy the rest of the show.
Great to see you too, Cameron.
Like the true magpie that I am, I couldn't even get any further across the hall before the shiny silver of Airstreams just called me over to take a closer look. Because over at the Loudham stand at the NEC, you'll find two new Airstreams. There is a large British spec twin axle, and this yet to be fully converted to European spec Bambi, which is the smallest model that Airstream now produce. It's so cute. Just look how small it is. It seems so big but small at the same time. I don't know, that sounds weird to me as well. It's 8 foot wide, which is kind of deceiving because of the curved shape of the Airstream. It just doesn't look as wide as it is, but you really notice that width when you step inside the Caravan. In iconic Airstream style, it comes fitted with this rollout awning, which has been a fairly standard feature on Airstream since the 1950s. Even with these beautiful little string lights over it that Loudons have decorated it with, you can really feel that this is possibly the coolest way to go camping. Stepping inside the Airstream, you'll find that it's actually got a very familiar layout. At the front here we have this dinette which converts into, it's kind of a large single bed, I would say. You could probably squeeze 2 people on it at a push. But the space is huge. It feels big and spacious in here. It is definitely something of a TARDIS. We've got the iconic roller shutter Airstream cupboards, which again have been around since the 60s. Why change what works perfectly? And we've got the beautiful wraparound windows with the, these rather nice, simple, plain curtains. I've got to say, I do love the soft furnishings in here, but it's worth checking the spec with Loudons because sometimes Loudons update the furnishings to comply with British standards, which are different to the American standards as they come from the factory. Stepping up into the kitchen area, or the galley if you're American, there is an American style fridge, which I believe will remain. These should run off propane and possibly mains electrics. We have a familiar looking Dometic style cooker, 2-burner hob with electric ignition. And just back here there is a sink with a tap. Again, I've been brushing up on my American here, folks. Faucet. With a stainless steel sink with this nice neat little chopping board that covers over the top. We have blinds to the windows, we have the American style 12-volt lights, again these roller shutter airline style lockers, and just these lovely finishes with the, I mean that's actually got a nice texture to it that sort of looks like stone. Over on this side you'll find the airline style toilet, which again is a pretty cool space. We've got the shower curtain, there's a full shower in there, and the toilet which runs to a tank underneath. Just above my head here is the air conditioning unit, which will remain for the British spec. Finally, on this side we have a small little wardrobe space that lights up when you open it. Again, this is pretty cool. I've never seen this before. It's got this rubber sort of gaiter over there so that your clothes don't rattle around on the rail as you tow it. And finally at the back you have what I think they would call in America a queen-sized bed. It's not the biggest fixed bed that I've seen, but it's so cozy down here. It even has this neat little folding curtain to screen off the space so you could step out of the shower and get changed without opening all the curtains at the front of the Caravan. Back here you'll find the heater controls, so you can control it from the side of the bed, which again, why has no one in Britain really thought about that? And down at this end we have a TV which moves on the stand, so you can sit here in bed and watch TV. This cute little window at the back, it's just so cute in here. I can't emphasize enough how much of a really joyous space this Airstream is inside. However, Airstream really is a lifestyle choice, as we know on this channel, and this model will set you back around £69,000. So it's probably the most expensive caravan that we will look at today on our tour of the NEC. But I have to say, it's built like an aeroplane. It's all riveted together. It feels so substantial and good quality. And compared to any rival size British caravan, it does feel big and small at the same time. I don't know, it's hard to communicate unless you're here taking a look at it. So I guess the only thing you can do is come down to the NEC and see it for yourself, or if you're watching this video after the show is over, head down to Loudons in Nottingham, and they will have this model on display for the foreseeable. I'm trying to find what I'm looking for here, because nestled in amongst these motorhomes is a caravan that we are exceptionally excited to have a look at. But I'm not sure that I can track it down. Looks like it might be over there. Let's go see what's hiding in amongst these motorhomes. I can't believe I'm stood in front of these caravans. I have waited so long to see these. Today at the NEC there are two Mancelle caravans from France. There is the original Liberty model, which has kind of the pointy front end, which you'll have seen so much on my social media over the past few years, but also this new, smaller, lightweight Fantaisy model. To me, these are already two of the real highlights of this show, and I think it's time we take a closer look. Let's start with the small little Fantaisy model because it's so cute and so interesting, and there's lots of little details about this caravan that I know viewers of this channel are going to love. I'm going to start by quickly saying that we are just going to take a brief look at these two incredible caravans. There is so much to talk about here that I have created their own dedicated tour in a separate video. It will follow about a week after this video, so hopefully by the time you're watching this it might be up on my channel. Until then, I'm going to give you a little overview. The outside is constructed entirely of polyester and then bonded together at the seams. The result is an extremely lightweight but also very strong structure that makes these La Mancelle models around 200 to 300 kilograms less than an equivalent sized traditional caravan. Stepping into the Fantaisy, it's an incredibly small space really. It's compact, it's cute, it's cozy. This is something that's designed, so I'm told, for people who want to go further and want to perhaps spend a long time travelling on the road. Not only is it exceptionally lightweight, this particular model tips the scales at just over 900 kilograms fully laden. But it's also fitted, as is the rest of the range, with the Alco Delta axle, which just improves road handling and makes it easier to tow. At the back end of the Fantaisy 360 is this fixed double bed. Now the first thing that strikes me is the size of it. It's slightly bigger than a standard double, which is not quite what I expect to find in a caravan that's as small as this. There is a TV point underneath the overhead locker, and also there is a little point at the side of the bed that tucks into the wardrobe where you can charge your phones or devices overnight. I have to say, having spent some time in this caravan, I love the fact that it's the compromise that I think this country needs between the real outdoorsy caravans such as the Swift Basecamp and something more conventional that's just smaller, more compact and easy to use. When I surveyed the Swift Basecamp Owners Club, there was almost 2/3 of them did not use the adaptable seating to lift it up to store bikes and such like as Swift intend when using it, which to me indicated that actually a lot of Basecamp owners are buying it not because it's a sporty vehicle, but because it's just a lifestyle choice that presents something different. And perhaps quite a few of them would maybe prefer to have the extra storage under the seat locker. I feel like this La Mancelle Fantaisy strikes that balance quite well, because you've still got the versatility of the storage, but it's a more conventional caravan, still wrapped up in a very unconventional shell. Even though we've got lots of wood finish in here, again, that seems to be a bit of a criticism amongst people who are fans of the more alternative caravans. I have to say, it's probably the most realistic wood finish that I have found in a caravan like this. Again, looking around the Mancelles, they seem to favour the best quality fittings that you can find. Things such as the bedside lamps that have two settings for a night light if you just want a bit of gentle illumination to see your way to the loo, instead of the full force of the reading lamp. It's these very, very thoughtful details that really impress someone like me who appreciates good caravan design. Moving on to the Liberty 460. This particular trim level that we're seeing on both models here is the Plaisance, which is the top of the range spec in France. Just like the smaller Fantaisy, the Liberty is built using the exact same polyester construction method, resulting in something that is extremely strong, and the managing director of La Mancelle Caravans admitted that even he's surprised by how little trouble they have had from this experimental construction technique. Stepping inside the Mancelle Liberty, the first thing that your eye is drawn to is this incredible round booth which tucks itself neatly into the front point of the caravan. Now obviously they've made the pointed front to give it increased aerodynamics, and the French caravanning press are really saying how well this caravan tows. You know I love orange on Not Another White Box, so to see this orange upholstery really brightens my day up, literally. But also it's got this great ambient lighting which goes around all the backs of the seats. And actually in this Caravan, there's great lighting throughout, from little touches underneath the worktops to lighting up the cupboards above the kitchen and the bed. There is lighting everywhere, which just goes to make it a bright, inviting and warm space. But when it's daytime, plenty of light can flood in through this huge window at the front, which you can open, but also these two completely uniquely shaped side windows, which also open front ways out, which is almost like the suicide doors on an old Citroen, which is a very French touch. In the middle part of the Liberty, we will find this kitchen, which, if I'm honest, is a little bit on the small side. But I suppose the appropriate term to describe it here would be, of course, bijou. But that's not to say it doesn't feature everything that you need in a touring kitchen, including some surprising additions such as an extractor fan with a built-in clock and timer. It's this attention to detail that just makes the Mancelle range so impressive. Even little things like these soft shut cupboard doors, which is applied to every single drawer and cupboard in the Caravan, or even the huge tall fridge at the expense of a little bit extra worktop. Everything has been thought out and picked especially to be as practical as possible. This logic extends to the washroom, which, okay, it's an all-in-one wet room, we've seen these before, but the Mancelle Liberty has a little secret that it is hiding. To avoid getting the toilet wet as much as possible, the entire bathroom wall that holds the sink moves out of the way to create a closed-off shower space and minimise how much the water goes over the rest of the washroom. Genius. Stepping into the bedroom at the back, and this is again where the space gets quite interesting. But before I show you that, you'll notice above my head is a Truma air conditioning unit. Again, we're not sure if this will be part of the British spec. As I said, in France, the Liberty Plaisance is the top of the range model for the Mancelle Liberty range. So again, the specs will be confirmed in early 2023, but it's potentially an exciting addition to what is actually quite a lightweight Caravan. Back here in the bedroom though, you'll find a rather large wardrobe for storing hanging goods, but also a cupboard underneath. But in addition to that, there is a wardrobe either side of the rear bed, which has shelving and storage which is accessible from the front or the side. Each side of the bed has space to charge the phone, light switches, mains power and 12 volt power. But I have to say, as fixed beds in Caravans go, this bed is huge. It must be at least a queen size, if not a little bit larger. Without getting the tape measure out, I'm just saying this mattress feels a lot wider than a lot of the offerings in British Caravans that have this layout. I can't believe who I've bumped into at the Caravan show of all places. I think that these people need no introduction to my followers, but we've got Hubnut and Miss Hubnut, who have famously this summer bought Bob the folding camper.
Oh yes.
So what brings you to the Caravan show?
Well, I've always loved Caravans, always. I mean, a bit statics were a big part of my life for a very long time. We had a Swift, I think you told me it was a 69?
Oh yeah, I remember, yeah.
Yeah, we had the Swift, and then we stumbled upon Bob, the folding camper, who's a Conway Cruiser. We love him.
So I've been dragged kicking and screaming into this world.
No, he hasn't.
I was going to say, I feel like I'm slightly responsible for this because I've not exactly been holding back and encouraging you to buy a Caravan, have I?
know, and we are followers of the channel. So, yeah,
and
definitely had an effect.
For people who are watching who don't know, you run the Hubnut channel, which is, well, how do you even sum it up?
It's about celebrating the average and the ordinary in motoring terms. So our folding camper fits in a treat on our fleet of kind of forgotten heroes of yesteryear.
And you've got a matching tow car, I've seen as well, that matches very well, which is...
Yeah, our Citroen Berlingo 2002. Berlingo's not the most capable tow car, a bit soft in the rear suspension, but it does a great job with Bob. Bob's not too heavy.
So when you bought Bob earlier in the summer, and
It must have been July.
July?
Yeah.
Ish?
It was just at the start of the
Yeah.
summer holidays.
See, he's quite impulsive, so I rode on that impulsive nature because I was looking on Facebook Marketplace. I've been looking at caravans. I'm always looking at caravans. We started talking about trailer tents, didn't we?
Yeah, yeah.
And then we saw this folding camper, and it wasn't the best photograph. He was kind of semi-erect, to use. He was sort of limp and very sad looking. And for some reason I was like, should we go see that one? And I messaged the previous owner. I said, right, can we come and have a look? They were like, you can come today. I was like, today? Fine, we're going.
Yeah.
So we went off, and the rest is history.
Yeah, yeah. Kind of fell in love straight away, didn't
Yeah.
we?
And now you've managed to drag Ian to the caravan show of all places, which followers of your channel will know is a very big deal.
Yeah, it is a big change, but just embracing the lifestyle. It's been such a good summer. So many enjoyable sites we visited, so many nights sitting out, just enjoying gorgeous weather, gorgeous views. Yeah.
So
really
do we have a
splendid.
caravanning convert, do you think?
I think so,
It-
definitely.
It does look like
I mean,
I'm there.
It's
yeah.
funny because obviously we were in the market for buying a house not that long ago, and on the way over, Ian was saying, "So when the kids leave home, we'll just buy a caravan and off we go." So yeah, you are a convert, aren't you?
Yeah. Life on the road.
Excellent.
Can't beat it.
So is there anything at the show that you've seen that might possibly tempt you away from Bob?
We were quite taken by the Opus inflatable folding
Yeah.
campers.
Yeah. We've had a
They're
look
quite
at the
nice to make it.
Pennines as well.
Yeah.
Pennines, obviously, because they sort of incorporated Conway, it's sort of like Super Bob. So the material changed in 2008, so they use isocryl material, which is lighter and it's more durable and so on and so forth. They're very similar to Bob, so we probably would go down that alley. But these Opus inflatable caravans, if you get the chance to go and see that demonstration, it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing, really amazing. And you've got the opportunity of turning the double bed into a king size bed. So they're just luxurious, aren't they? I think the difference
feels a world away.
I think
from Bob.
the difference between Bob and today is people like a bit more luxury.
Yeah.
So whereas Bob is
Minimalist.
basic,
Yeah.
you've got proper full-on cookers, proper full-on fridges, and all that kind of thing. Washrooms, yes.
We could only dream of such luxuries with our old
I know.
caravans. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny because obviously I'm come from a more caravanning background, but we're kind of on that same wavelength of that. We've got something that's very old, usually the oldest thing on site.
Yeah.
Have to trek up to the toilet block, every time. So we both feel like fishes out of water here, really.
Yeah, this is a different world. This is a very different world. I mean, you went and sat at the helm of a motorhome.
Yeah, £203,000 motorhome, which was just enormous, and we could just live in it.
Is that or the house?
Yeah, it's one or the other. It's one or the other. But the engineering is so clever. I mean, in that motorhome, they had a door that sort of it shut one way so that you had privacy in the bathroom, and the other way it was.
It's
just
well
the
thought out.
General. It was very, very clever,
Yes.
but not £203,000 clever.
The final stand that we're going to take a look at in today's video of the NEC Caravan and Motorhome show is the Knaus stand. This model that I'm showing you now is the Sport and Fun, which unbelievably had been in production for over 20 years. As Airstream founder Wally Byam once said, good design never goes out of date. And that is certainly true for this model, which still remains extremely faithful to the original design that was launched all those years ago. It's 4.8 metres long and weighs 1,400 kilograms fully laden, and you can upgrade this in various increments all the way up to 1,700 kilograms. It has an extra wide rear door to allow loading of a motorbike or perhaps bicycles, and even features a garage area under the raised fixed bed at the front. It means that this caravan is very much a lifestyle caravan, and it promotes multi-usage and has lots of clever things that help adapt to whatever the end user might wish to use it for. But it's actually very refined as well. It has everything that you would need, it's a comfortable space, it's well laid out, and it's certainly very different. It boasts what Knaus call the Vario X chassis, and something that they're labelling bionic construction. I'm not too sure what this means, but they claim it can save up to 30% of the weight that an equivalent sized caravan would typically weigh. I love this folding rear shower tray, and we took a much more in-depth look at this caravan in my video tour of the February show. So I'm just having a quick recap to show you what's great about this £25,000 touring caravan. Another caravan that we took a good look at the earlier show tour in February this year was this Tab 400 Mexican Sunset. I'm just showing it again because I absolutely love this caravan, but if you want to know more, have a look for that video on my channel where I have a good look around this particular caravan. But I'm also going to give a little spotlight to the Tab 320 Offroad, which is a special edition based on the smallest tab in the range. New for 2023 are these side plates that allow you to stand on the A-frame to help lean down the front of the caravan. But as before, you can buy an assortment of kit that attaches to the outside to assist with carrying luggage, bikes, surfboards, etc. This could be the ultimate off-road, rugged, go-anywhere tourer. And it still looks so stylish, sleek, and not to mention incredibly cute. Although it looks tough on the outside, it's not quite the same story on the inside, for it's very warm and soft. It's a great place to escape at the end of a long day, exploring the best the great outdoors has to throw at you. As with most Tab caravans, the 320 has a fairly basic spec with a gas-only fridge and a gas heater, and that's pretty much it. It doesn't even have hot running water as standard, and you may have noticed, due to the small size, there isn't a bathroom either, but there is a small portable loo fitted under the bench at the front. But it's small and it's perfectly formed, and I think it's absolutely great. So we end today's tour of the NEC Caravan and Motorhome show the same way we started my last tour in February 2022, outside the Tab 400 Mexican Sunset Edition. As you know, on Not Another White Box, we are huge fans of orange here, so it seems kind of fitting to finish with this one. Hope you've enjoyed taking a look around the show with us for the duration of this video, and I'm sure you'll agree there is an incredible selection of some really exciting new caravans out there that dare to be different and stray from the norms that we expect from conventional white boxes. If you've enjoyed today's video, please do subscribe and check out Not Another White Box on all forms of social media. But in the meantime, I'm just going to take 5 minutes before we leave because I am absolutely exhausted. We've had a great time, and thank you very much for watching. We'll see you again soon.